Picture this, a tiny towing company in the middle of nowhere, North Carolina, a husband and wife who seem almost too wild to be real, and a show that made millions of Americans cancel their plans every Monday night. Lizard Lick Towing wasn't just television, it was an experience. And then, without warning, it was gone. But what happened after the cameras left? Buckle up, because the real story is far stranger than anything that ever aired. Cast your mind back to 2011. Cable TV was king, and True TV had cracked a very specific code. Take real people, put them in high-pressure situations, and let the sparks fly. Ron and Amy Shirley from the blink and you'll miss it town of Lizard Lick, North Carolina, fit that formula perfectly. Over 4 seasons and 91 episodes, they and their crew, especially the legendary Bobby Brantley, turned vehicle repossessions into appointment viewing. At its peak, nearly 3 million people were tuning in every single week. But here's something most fans never knew about the show they thought they understood. True TV never actually called it reality TV. Their official line was not reality, actuality, which sounds like a very confident answer to a very uncomfortable question. The company was real, the people were real, the repossessions happened, but the drama on screen cranked up to an 11. Scenes were recreated, storylines were shaped for maximum tension, and chaos was given a little extra room to breathe. For a long time, nobody cared. The personalities were magnetic enough to carry it. But as audiences grew sharper and more skeptical, the cracks started showing, and the network itself was quietly changing direction. Which raises the real question everyone has been tiptoeing around for over a decade. Why did the show actually end? Forget the dramatic theories circulating online. The honest answer is frustratingly ordinary. Ratings softened, the reality TV landscape shifted, and True TV moved on. But one thing hit fans harder than any cancellation announcement. Bobby Brantley, Ron's best friend and the heartbeat of the whole crew, walked away in 2014 to chase his own path. And behind the smiles, there were real tensions building between him and Ron that would later spill out into the open. Without Bobby, something fundamental changed. The chemistry that made everything feel electric just wasn't quite there anymore. Then came August 18, 2014. The final episode aired. No farewell, no big send-off, just silence. But long before any of that, before the fame and the chaos and the collapse, there was just a guy with a single truck and a plan. Ron Shirley was born in Raleigh in 1972. A college football injury closed one door and he walked straight through another, landing in the towing world in the early 90s. What made him different wasn't the muscle, it was the mouth. He talked to people, de-escalated, negotiated, tried to keep things calm, which is almost funny given what the show became. By 1998, he turned that approach into a real business, Lizard Lick Towing, launched with a single truck and zero hype. A decade of grinding later, it was a full fleet with a growing team. But here's what the show never fully captured. Amy Shirley is genuinely one of the most remarkable people in this entire story. A record-holding powerlifter, an MMA fighter, a former mortician, and the co-owner of a legitimate business. She and Ron were almost cast on Wife Swap before a single day of filming convinced producers they had something far bigger on their hands. Off-camera, Ron is also an ordained pastor who co-founded a ministry helping people through addiction and trauma. These were never just TV personalities, they were real people with real depth, and so was everyone around them. Bobby Brantley didn't just fade into a quiet life after the show. In 2019, he was diagnosed with a pituitary adenoma, a brain tumor. He had surgery, relocated his family to what he calls Lil Ass Farms, and focused on recovery. He came through it. Today, he's living in Pilot, North Carolina, raising 8 kids with his wife Melanie, the woman viewers knew as Cassie, who is a gynecologist in real life, and still showing up to fan events with the original crew. Big Juicy, real name Elaine McGilvary, kept her personal life close but stayed connected to the Lizard Lick family. Crazy Dave Eckler, the unhinged shop mechanic everyone adored, somehow became a musician. His project is called Rocky Cross, named after the town where he lives, and it is the most crazy Dave thing that has ever happened. Cousin Johnny, once one of the loudest personalities on the show, vanished entirely from public life. No social media, no updates, just gone. And somehow that feels completely right for him. But while all of these lives were quietly moving forward, the Shirley family was walking towards something no amount of fame or television experience could ever prepare anyone for. There is no soft way to say this. On February 17, 2022, Ron and Amy's son, Harley Alexander Shirley, was shot and killed at the age of 21. He had gone to a gas station following a memorial gathering for a friend who had died in a traffic accident. He was there to grieve someone he loved. He never came home. Two teenagers fired 20 shots into the back of a parked vehicle. Harley was in the back seat. A 20-year-old woman named Sophie Hagee, sitting beside him, survived, but was permanently paralyzed from the waist down. Prosecutors confirmed she was not an intended target. The community raised over $80,000 for her through a GoFundMe campaign. 4 people were eventually arrested, and the legal proceedings stretched across years. One conviction in 2024 resulted in a 40-year sentence. Then, in July 2025, another defendant received consecutive sentences, totaling roughly 30 years after pleading guilty to second-degree murder and attempted murder. And through all of it, Ron Shirley did something extraordinary. He went online, the same space where he had spent years making people laugh, and he talked about faith, about loss, about forgiveness, about what it means to keep going when the ground disappears beneath you. Most people would have gone silent. Ron went the other direction. And so, after everything, what does the world of lizard lick towing actually look like today? As of 2025, Ron still runs Lizard Lick Towing and Recovery with a fleet of 20 trucks and 15 employees. He also leads the Eastern chapter of Dirt Church as an ordained pastor. The man rebuilt his company completely on his own terms. No network, no production deal, and he has been doing it every day since the show ended. Amy serves as vice president of the business and recently published a gluten-free cookbook. She also has over 1 million followers watching her on TikTok, where she and Ron share their lives without a single camera crew or executive telling them what to do. The business now offers merchandise, video messages, and yes, wedding towing, because of course it does. Bobby is farming. Crazy Dave is recording music. Big Juicy is raising her family. Cousin Johnny is somewhere off the grid, happily invisible. And the Shirley family carries Harley with them every single day, keeping the business alive as a testament to everything real underneath the television surface. Reality TV stars usually end up one of 2 ways: a spectacular crash or a quiet disappearance. Ron and Amy Shirley chose neither. They went back to what they had before the lights found them, and they kept building. 1 truck in 1998, a true TV phenomenon. Unimaginable grief, 1 million followers and a cookbook, and 20 trucks rolling across North Carolina. They didn't need Hollywood to write their story. Life did it for them, and it turned out to be far more interesting than any script ever could.